have any books with me today, but the bands have the website on it, and I'm going to be reading some excerpts from the book. So I've been working on a piece. There's a writing that I've tried to describe the Central Park jogger case. This case that became one of the most horrific experiences that a parent can go through, and most certainly one of the most horrific experiences that the individuals involved had gone through. So you are getting a preview of what I'm going to say at the Emmys. The Central Park jogger case is a love story between God and his people. It is a story of a criminal system of injustice turned on its side to produce a miracle in modern time. Of how a people can be brought low only to rise because the truth can never stay buried. Of a people buried alive and forgotten. They forgot your seeds. And instead of a social death, we emerged like a phoenix from the ashes. Because as they built the fire to consume us, they forgot the owner of the heat. God is present at all times and makes himself known through the momentous and the subtleties. I actually became proud to become known as one of the Central Park Five. We were at an interview with Oprah Winfrey. We were on Oprah's couch. It was the Oprah Winfrey show. And it was such a beautiful experience. And then she rebranded us so that there would be no shadow of doubt. So that the future presidents of the United States wouldn't have it messed up. And she branded us the exonerated five. And I love that title because it gives us the ability to say, you know we are innocent. You know there was something wrong with that case. You all saw it. You all are seeing it. But I want to take you back to 1989. I'm walking up to my building and I see a whole bunch of unmarked cars. And I say, man, something happened. And then I heard that they were looking for me. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to the cops. I was in Central Park. I'm gonna go to the cops and I'm gonna tell them what I saw because I know that I didn't do anything. That night I was wearing a sky blue outfit. I've been over 6 feet tall since I was 12 years old. And with my flat top, I was highly recognizable. I had a sky blue jacket on, sky blue pants on, and my pants had writing and drawings all over it. I'm a graphic designer. As a matter of fact, this ring that I wear, I drew. I gave it to the jeweler. He made it exactly how I designed it. This necklace that I wear, I created this. And imagine my surprise to find out that remaining silent is one of the most powerful things that you can do. When they say you have the right to remain silent, don't say, I know my rights. Talk. Because when you talk, part two automatically shifts into gear. What part two says, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And even though I didn't make a written or videotaped confession, even though my co-defendants did, that's not a blight on them, because the system had already had it out for us. As a matter of fact, I see young people in the audience, and I just had this question that I always ask young people anyway. And the question is this: can any one of you, matter of fact, can anybody in the audience, can you voluntarily raise your hand if you decided to be dead or in jail before you reached the age of 21? No takers? See, somehow that scheme has been placed on our lives. And it becomes so powerful when our eyes are opened up and we realize that as a part of the founding documents of this country, through the 13th Amendment, right there it becomes clear that they can take you and turn you back into a slave for the punishment of a crime. Anybody can read that. Well, when black and brown folks read that, it vibrates differently. They're talking about our ancestors. And then we look at the prison industrial complex and we understand it's not a rite of passage. It's not a place that I'm gonna go with my homies and hang out and we're gonna be running to jail. It's a place that they have a trap for you. And so now I'm on trial, and now I'm going back and forth to trial because I was on bail, and I'm going back and forth, as Corey said, as if it was a job. And on that fateful day in August, they said they had a jury. They said they had the verdict. The jury said they had the verdict. And I remember talking on the phone with a loved one, and I said, they got the verdict. I'll see you shortly. They're gonna find us innocent. Up until that moment, I had hope that the system was gonna treat us right. The spike wheels of justice continue to mold us down. We heard guilty so many times. I came in at the end of the part where they were finding us all guilty. And we didn't have the opportunity to prepare. They didn't say, hey, listen, go home and come back next week. You know, we want you to prepare for this. They do that sometimes. If you got the complexion for acceptance, they do. But when you got the complexion for rejection, they tell you to stand and put your hands behind your back and then lead you off to the back. All this while I was looking at the jury. I was trying to figure out, what were they looking at? They had such hatred in their eyes. And I couldn't figure it out. I was trying to figure out, why did they hate me this way? I mean, I knew I was the tallest one out of the group. I knew I might have been maybe the darkest out of the group. But why did they hate me? And then when they found us guilty, I was told that I would be able to say something. And this is what they asked me. They said, Yusef Salaam, do you have anything to say before we sentence you? I stood up. And as I rose, I grew. I became a giant in their eyes. Now I understood. They were looking at my future self. I was looking at me in the present, but they were looking at me in my past, present, future self. And they were trying to kill what I am now. And as I stood up, I started with the words of Malcolm X. I was 16 then. I said, I'm not going to sit here at your table and watch you eat and call myself dinner. Sitting here at your table doesn't make me dinner, just like being here in America doesn't make me an American. Let us begin. Stress is the anger that is built up inside. Rage is the anger that is no longer built. Taking on a sucker that soon you have killed. American free will doesn't mean you can kill. And take another person's life, you live your life trife. I'm a skill builder, so on skills I do build. Creator giving knowledge to this wise black man, soon to enhance my words across the land. I'm a smooth type of fellow, cool, calm, and mellow. I'm kind of laid back, but now I'm speaking so that you know. Got used and abused and even was put on the news without clues and gave clues, selling out like fools. Check it. Who did what and who did who in? Put in a situation that you don't know what to do in. Some brothers were wildin', we're not down with them. Who would have thought I'd have to lock in? I stand accused. Checking the scene from how the situation was. Instead of getting facts, the media made you blur. Now the people don't know. All they see is the media. They never hear the blame because they're constantly deceiving us. The DA is dead wrong. This is a master plan. This case is not a case, it's just a craft, a sham. And then I looked at the DA. I said, yo, instead of trying to get your name made, it's reconstructing the crime that really pays. Islam. La ilaha illallah, being supreme over Satan, but no man is Allah. Yes, I'm a science dropper on the righteous path. So how the hell could I take a rapist path? Think about that and then think about this. All my friends, it was me they dissed, they're dismissed. Cause I don't really need any friends like that. Like when I really needed you, where were you at? I'm not dissing them all, but the ones that I called that went and dissed me. Like I was an inch small, like a rat, a mouse, not even a man wrongly accused. Like the knife's in my hand. How does it look? Me clock, now I'm shook, but like Matlock, soon the accused gets off the hook. It's real when she remembers and says, damn, the cops did you win, I stand accused. If you remember, a young man, it's not over yet. But I didn't say this in the courthouse. But if you remember, a young man by the name of Yusef had just been murdered just before we got convicted. And juxtapose his case against our case. The murderers of Yusef Hawkins were led back and forth into the courthouse, and they had bulletproof helmets, they had bulletproof body armor. They made sure that they were safe getting in and out of there. They didn't give us anything. So I brought Yusef Hawkins' case into the courthouse. You people stop. This racial dispersed. Yo, you seen that kid Vincent? He's in a hearse. And so we take it to the Vincent hearse fields, west side bulletproof vest. We had no kinds of shields. How does it look? They killed the black man, being black. It's time we take a stand. In our situation, you saw our faces clear, but not mine. Not because of fear. It's because the black race was disgraced and full of Muslim. They must have felt shame, but I'm not to blame with the words you bought. The media took our words to paper, the ones the cops distorted. I told the cops truth like this and then boom. They were smacking my man Corey Wise in the next room. Now I know why the Rossers can't stand the Babylon. They never helped, they just babble on. I used to think the people and cops were cool, but who protects us from you? I stand accused. And when I took my seat, I was watching the judge. His face was so angered and enraged that I had the audacity to stand and say that. See, I came from an era where there was messages in the music. Mm-hmm. And there was music in the message. I came from the era when people were sparking knowledge and wisdom into people's minds. It came through music. And so when they said black medallions no gold, and Queen Latifah put her hat on and said UNITY, all of the sisters wanted to put their crowns on their head. Everybody knew what this thing was about because somehow they were tapping into their mitochondria DNA of where they came from. Even though we were taught in America, you ain't from Africa. Man, you from Jamaica. So you felt like somebody said you was African. You said, man, I ain't no African, I'm Jamaican. Let me tell you something, I went to Africa. My father's from Barbados. My mother's from Alabama. Went to Africa last year. Never been to Africa before. I came off the plane, people ran up to me, and they said, "Nange def." And I said, "Mangi fish." And they said some more stuff, and I said, "That's all I know. I don't know anymore." Some people said, "Ça va?" And I said, "Ça va bien." And they kept on going. I said, "That's it. I don't know anymore." But what that taught me was that that's where they stole us from. And they taught me in Africa that they had been lied to about the Africans in America. Just like the Africans in America had been lied to about the Africans in Africa. I was getting a real rich history lesson when I went there. I was part of the delegation that went with Akon and his father. And it was a tremendous thing to see that. But the hip hop artists, when they created this thing called hip hop, this new culture, these were the Geles and the griots of Africa that told the history of us as a people. This is why it made sense. This is why it felt good. This is why it became culture. And I use that same thing in order to speak my last words. This is what I thought. You know, when they said that I had, when I heard the words guilty echoed in the courthouse, I knew that I was going to jail. And I knew that the only crime that trumps rape is child molestation. Inmates have their own ways of dealing with those two types of atrocities. And so I was like, man, they're gonna kill us. I never forget, when I was 6 months into my prison bed, there was another officer that came up to me. And he asked me one question, and that question changed my life. That question is found in my book of poetry on the 17th. This is the 17th poem. And it seemed like a simple question. He said, "Who are you?" And I said, I'm Yusef Salaam, the guy that they accused of raping the Central Park jogger. But I didn't do it. He said, "I know that. I've been watching you. You're not supposed to be here. Why are you here? Who are you?" It caused me to think about this whole, like, you know, people say, "What's your name and where you come from and who are you?" You know, all of this stuff. And I said to myself, damn, you know, when I was younger, people would always ask me, what's my name? And I would say, Yusef. And they would say, Joseph. And I would say, dang, nah, man, Yusef. And they would say, Joseph. And I would slow it down, like, as if they had a speech impediment, they just couldn't say the word Yusef. And so I said, Yusef, you know, in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming. You know, they tell you to shake your head, so the people, you know, they start. So I said, Yusef. And they said, Joseph. I said, you know what, that's close enough. Imagine my surprise after being asked this question. And I started diving into all kinds of knowledge. I wanted to read anything and everything I got my hands on. As a matter of fact, the answer to the question is very succinct. It says, searching to find who has come, a beautiful soul, a powerful one. See, what I knew about my birth was that there was no celebration before I came out. The celebration came 7 days after I was born. And the people were called to the baby naming ceremony to find out, who is this? My parents told them that my name was to be Yusef Idris Fadil Abdul Salam. I never knew what that meant. And now I had this question. I said, Mom, what's my name mean? And she said, boy, it means boy born with hair on his head. That's probably because I had a flat top. But in prison, I found out that Yusef means God will increase. I found out that Idris means the teacher. I found out that Fa'adil is with justice. and I found out that Salaam means peace. So I'm in prison, and I'm reading poetry, and I heard this poem that said, prison life in many ways can be likened to the womb. If the life inside becomes stillborn, the womb becomes the tomb. And everybody calls the prisons, and especially in New York, we call it the belly of the beast. But imagine, if you will, the belly of the beast being not equivalent, but symbolically equivalent to a mother's womb. That here I was in there, and I was being shaped and formed and stretched in order to be birthed into society, a new person. 30 years later, who would have ever thought, one, that this story would have had the greatest villain in the world, Donald Trump. I mean, it just don't get any better than that. But see, when you're fighting for over 30 years, when you're fighting and you're in it, and you understand that you can't be afraid, you have to be brave. You have to be born brave. You have to understand that we were all born brave. And in that bravery, it's not the absence of fear. It's not the absence of being afraid, but it's the acknowledgement of it. And still standing up anyway and saying that I gotta march forward. And then you realize that what are you afraid of? You start hearing that fear is false evidence appearing real. So what are you afraid of? Let me tell you, when Donald Trump took out those ads in New York City's newspapers, he does not represent the totality of the thought process that we know, which is the real law, which is white supremacy. He does not represent the totality of that. He is an idea that allows it to exist. And so when he said that we should bring back the death penalty, he said, bring back our police. You know, Dave Chappelle, I just saw Dave Chappelle, Sticks and Stones, right? I was in Atlanta, he brought us backstage. And Dave Chappelle would make a joke like this. He would say, Brother Yusef, that paper represents the size of his hands. Because you know, the news really, it's like long paper. But, so in here it says, criminals must be told that their civil liberties end when an attack on our safety begins. And I want you to think about something for a second. In America, as I began, I said, I'm not going to sit here at your table and watch you eat and call myself dinner. Sitting here at your table doesn't make me dinner, just like being here in America doesn't make me an American. And as I began to unfold that thought process, it becomes apparent that here we are in this country. They say that we are African Americans, but yet they say that we're 3/5 of a human being. They say no taxation without representation, but we're taxed and we're not represented. They say that there's fairness and equality under the law, but we're seen as guilty and have to prove ourselves innocent. And so my question is, who is the they? Criminals must be told that their civil liberties end when an attack on our safety begins. Who is the our? Who is the they? Like, who is he talking about? And then you realize he's talking about us. We're seen as criminals. We can never be unarmed because we have this color of our skin. But when they tried to kill me they tried to kill us. When my mother came to the precinct, my mother didn't have a lot of time. She gave me proper instructions. She didn't say, hey baby, how they treat you in there? Are you okay? They giving you something to eat? You cold? You warm? You need my jacket? She didn't say none of that. My mother said to me, stop talking to them. And I might have said, oh, my mother didn't even let me finish. She said, they need you in order for you to participate in whatever they are trying to do. Do not participate. I never made a written or videotaped confession. But even in the false confessions that were garnered, what you quickly understand is that you have a Kevin Richardson saying, I was struggling with the jogger and I got this mark on my face because she scratched me. But every single one of us are pseudo experts because we watch TV shows like CSI, NCIS, and all of the other alphabet soups. And what it teaches us is that if a crime happened in this room, the forensic scientists could come in the room and they could look on the wall and say, based on the blood splatter, the assailant is left-hand dominant. 5'2". I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you this because it's a science. They checked underneath the fingernails of the jogger and there was no skin from Kevin underneath her fingernails. They arrested Raymond Santana and Kevin Richardson the night that this woman was attacked. And they didn't have any evidence that they had been involved. But yet they made it appear that we were the ones who did this. I think it's a shame that we live in a world that when you look at the municipalities, you'll find things like budgets for wrongdoing, budgets like exoneration funds. And guess who pays into that? We do. We pay into those things. But yet they want you to believe that the police departments of the world are infallible. This is why Donald Trump took out that ad. But he's so narrow-minded and myopic in his view that he can't see anything else. 70 plus years old and I'm still waiting for this thing to be maybe presidential. You know, the president of the United States tweeted this morning. And what he tweeted was, you know, there's a young girl in I think she's like in Germany or in she's in the European nation. The president of the United States was tweeting that he was shaking her hand. Yeah, that was Barack Obama. He was tweeting that. That's what presidents are supposed to do. You're supposed to show the humanity of things. You're supposed to bring people together, not tell people that people are illegal, not enact modern day slavery against people who are trying to find freedom, justice, and equality in America. And I'm so glad and happy to be a person who survived the criminal justice system, to have my faculties, to be able to stand tall, to be able to share, because they didn't want this. As a matter of fact, Pat Buchanan wrote in the papers after Donald Trump, 2 weeks after Donald Trump put his ad in New York City's newspapers 2 weeks after we were accused. We hadn't even gone to trial yet. 2 weeks after we were accused, he was swaying the court of public opinion. Pat Buchanan then throws his hat in the ring and says, you know what? Why don't we just take the eldest one, Corey Wise, and hang him from a tree in Central Park? He wrote this in the papers. He said, then let's take the others and strip them naked and horse whip them. Maybe this will make the city's parks safe again. We got a lot of work to do, We are a very young nation outside of things like the Kerner report. But when the young girl stood up and asked me the question in about 2013, she said, Dr. Yusef, I have a question. I want to become a cop. She said, I'm a cadet. What advice can you give me? I swear it had the movie Get Out. Get Out already. I've been looking for my phone, trying to put the flash on, so I could flash up, you know? If you ain't seen the movie, you might not know what I'm talking about. You gotta see the movie. But it was so crazy because just that fast, I realized that I was talking to the future. And I began to talk to her about my travels. And I said, throughout the nation, on the side of cop cars, there's some variation of the words to serve and protect. I said, as a matter of fact, in New York City, it goes even a step further. They also have the words courtesy, professionalism, and respect. I said, my advice to you, because I realized that I was talking to the future. I said, my advice to you is for you to do your job. I said, if you can offer us courtesy, if you could treat us with professionalism and respect, you'll be one of the best officers out there. Because the bad officers represent probably a dot on this stage. The rest are good officers. If she did her job, she would be one of the best. And I needed to tell her that. Because when Eric Gardner died, I'm sorry, I said died, when Eric Gardner was murdered. We all watched as he said, I can't breathe 11 times. And they didn't even give him the first letters off of the cop car. They didn't give him CPR. So I want to stop there. I think the crowd on the side is gathering. I used to do it.